What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Blakeney, aka Brandon Lee TV. Welcome back to the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. You know I got another banger for you, so kick back, relax, and come take a ride with your boy. Now, ESPN went ahead and released their way too early top 25 poll for women's basketball going into next season, and there is a lot of excitement, man. This is the post-transfer portal rankings. Now that rosters have pretty much been set for the most part, most of the moving parts are in their permanent locations for the season, and hey, it's still some familiar faces up at the top leading this poll. That's right, the defending champs. They the champs, so they ain't the champs no more. South Carolina, Don Staley bringing back arguably the most loaded group. But you know there's going to be some other plays that's going to be in motion. Of course, Southern California, Juju Watkins, UConn, Paige Beckers, UCLA and their fab sophomore will be a year older. Texas is loaded. Hey man, it's a great time to be alive. But before we get into breaking down the rankings and looking at some of these teams, make sure y'all hit that subscribe button for all the latest and the greatest and join our memberships. We got that exclusive content coming daily, weekly, whenever you need it. Now, let's get into it.
You are now locked into the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Here is your host, Brandon Blakeney.
So when we're talking about national title contenders in women's basketball, we have to start with no other than down in Columbia, South Carolina. Those Gamecocks making waves. Not only did they just run through the competition, go undefeated after losing 5 starters to the WNBA draft, they reloaded, shifted some familiar faces and added some new faces, and it was off and running for Coach Don Staley as they got another natty. And what's scary is this team could be even better next year, y'all. You look at what they return, you look at what they add, the front court is absolutely stacked. I mean, you bring back Ashlyn Watkins, you bring back Chloe Kitts, you bring back Sanaya Fagan, you bring back Sakima Walker, you add Dowda, another shooting big that can stretch the floor. You got Joyce Edwards in the mix who can play just about anywhere. It is spooky in that front court right now, man. They are loaded. You got Adele Tack as well. A lot of size, a lot of physicality, a lot of athleticism, and a lot of scorers, man, that can do a lot of different things. But with Dowda and Kitts, you can definitely stretch the floor and open things up for those driving lanes and these backcourts and these slashers with Tahina Pau, with Malaysia Fulwiley, with Raven Johnson, players that can create off the bounce and get to the cup. You look at bringing back Breezy Hall. I mean, this team, the backcourt is just sensational, as well as the front court. There's really no weaknesses on this group. You bring back Tessa Johnson, like the bench is loaded, the backcourt is loaded. It's very spooky right now in South Carolina. I could see them running the table again, going undefeated, and winning another natty, y'all. I'm letting you know right now, Coach Don Staley has this team firing on all cylinders last season. They came in on a mission with a different intensity that the Freshies kind of lacked that last season. Now, South Carolina has tasted championship, and they're going to want more, man. And I think just from top to bottom, without doing a whole lot in the transfer portal, they added some depth and got some versatility, but they didn't need to do a whole lot. They brought in a great recruiting class. We didn't even mention Maddie McDaniel, who's coming off an injury, and she probably won't play much this season, but the backcourt is loaded. You got shooters, you got depth. Injuries, foul trouble will not be an issue for this team. They should have no trouble replacing Camila Cardoso. They played with her without multiple games last season and didn't skip a beat. So we know South Carolina, the championship is running through Columbia, man. They the champs, so they ain't the champs no more. And sheesh, they looking like the champs some more. Their biggest competition, I think, is the 2 and 3 teams. So obviously, I think, in my opinion, UConn should be the number 2 team in the nation. Looking what they're bringing back, I mean, it's loaded. They have the most efficient player, a potential national player of the year in Paige Beckers. You bring back AZ Fudd, Aubrey Griffin, Cadence Samuels, KK Arnold, Ashlyn Shade. Like, the backcourt is absolutely loaded. The front court, Jane L. Alfie, we haven't really seen a post develop so far, but at UConn in a long time, man. Like, Gino's kind of been struggling with that. But I don't think he's been as excited about a player in quite some time in the post as Alfie, man. She is talented. Just the Egyptian national, has international experience, finally is healthy, has size at 6'6". Like, that's going to be a major addition. You bring in the number one player overall in Sarah Strong, who can plug into that 4 spot, who has the guard skill to play on the perimeter, shoot the basketball, get it off the dribble, an elite passer with elite court vision. There's a lot of pieces. You bring in Shelly, you bring in Zabel, the backcourt. I mean, I think injuries will not be a problem for this team. And the fact that they did lose so many players last season, over half the roster, now you had those freshmen like KK Arnold and Ashlyn Shade who had to really, really grow up fast. And they performed well. I mean, we're talking about a team that lost half their squad this season into injuries and still made the Final Four. Still gave Iowa a game, man. So salute to them. Coach Gino Auriemma, one of the GOATs in the game, very outspoken. It's a great time to be a Husky fan right now, and I think they would have been the number 2 team at full strength this past season and the biggest challenge to South Carolina. But now we get to see them, hopefully, knock on wood, at full strength, and UConn is coming, man. My dark horse to win the national championship comes in at number 4, and that is Notre Dame, man. Hannah Hidalgo and Maddie Westbell and Sonia Citron put on a show last year. And I love that this year they get Kate Koval, who's going to be a true post, 6'5", 6'6". They were missing a true big last year. I don't see them getting killed on the boards like they were this year. But the biggest addition coming back, Olivia Miles. How many teams could lose an All-American like that and still make a run in the NCAA tournament, man? We saw the growth in Hannah Hidalgo, what she's capable of. One of the best on-ball defenders in the nation. One of the best point guards in the nation already. And she was really, she was pushing Juju for that Freshman of the Year award, finishing second. Now you pair her with a veteran guard like Miles, who will complement her game, but also take pressure off her as well, man. Notre Dame is absolutely loaded. They got KK Bransford to hop out of the transfer portal as well. Like, this team is my dark horse to win the national championship just because of the backcourt depth. They shored up some weaknesses as well, did some great things in the transfer portal. So I definitely think Notre Dame is a squad to watch. Next up, the UCLA Bruins. That super sophomore class got even crazier when they added Lauren Betts. But Kiki Rice, man, Charisma Osborne, like, this team is going to be loaded. They bring back Gabriela Jaquez. They did some great things in the transfer portal themselves, and I think Kiki Rice is going to have a sensational season. I think she takes that next step into the category of, she might be the best point guard in the nation. She has that capability. She has the size, the scoring ability. She's the best true, pass-first point guard in the nation. I'm just throwing that out there, man. I love how UCLA has constructed this roster, built this chemistry, and they were one of the top teams in the nation all last year. You have Lauren Betts, who's anchoring that paint. They added Janiyah Barker from Texas A&M, which is insane. Like, that front court is going to be deep. They're going to be talented. They're going to be athletic. And you're not going to be able to just double down on Lauren Betts no more. She's a capable passer, and they've got plenty of weapons around her. UCLA, man, that Big Ten is going to be insane. That Big Ten is going to be insane, y'all. It's going to be a gauntlet coming out of that conference. I'm going to tell you that right now. But I love what UCLA is doing. They did some things in the portal. They returned majority of their roster. They have a veteran group now. Those sophomores have grown up. They're juniors now. And I think they'll be ready to take that next step, man. So I'm excited. Rounding out the top 5 is Texas. Now, losing a guard, I thought the one player that they couldn't lose last season was Rory Harmon, right? But it did not matter. She went down. The All-American point guard and Madison Booker, the stud freshman, stepped up and became the lead playmaker for this group. We already knew she had point forward capability, but now just seeing her control the offense and initiate and be the lead playmaker, it unlocked another level from her, and it helped her growth tremendously. Rory Harmon comes back next season. They also bring in Lilia Falea. The top scoring guard out of Michigan from last season, man. A lockdown defender who also can score the basketball from anywhere on the court. I think she is just a huge addition. She was one of the top transfer portal players available. And to be honest with y'all, man, adding another scorer to this team, they got some bigs in the transfer portal after losing some. Like, they bring back a lot of talent. Texas is definitely going to have something to say. A lot of teams are not going to be able to score with the Longhorns. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that right now. They also bring in the number 12 recruit overall in Justice Carlton. So bringing in some youth too, man. Texas definitely is going to have a well-rounded group. They replaced all the size they lost. And I think just from the perimeter, there's going to be a lot of firepower. Now, LSU will have to replace Angel Reese and Haley Van Lith. Yeah, I know. Some of y'all feel a type of way. I get it. But that trio of Flau'jae Johnson, Anissa Morrow, and Michaela Williams will be one of the best in the country. I think they reloaded and added some quality pieces in the transfer portal, adding Cheyenne Day Wilson, the 2022 ACC Freshman of the Year, and she was Miami's leading scorer this season. Kaylin Gilbert, a walking bucket out of Arizona. I think she's going to provide explosiveness, another ball handler, and she's going to take pressure off these big three to provide just another scoring option and scoring threat from the perimeter. Miracle Shepherd at much needed defensive presence, man, and she actually had a huge game against LSU last season. So I'm looking for her. Like, they got better defensively, they got more athletic, and they got more depth in that backcourt. Jersey Wolfenbarger, can they unlock her? That is going to be the thing. 6'5", former McDonald's All-American with Arkansas last season. She spent that 2 seasons there, and it never just really worked out, man. But she's shown capability of shooting the three. She can stretch the floor. She's versatile, and if they can unlock that top potential right there, I'm telling you, they should be a lot better than they were last season. And they weren't terrible last season, as much flack as they call it. NC State comes in at number 8. Isaiah James, one of the best, most improved players in the nation from here, just going from doubling her scoring, more than doubling her score from the year before. She averaged 16.8 this year. They bring back Sanaya Rivers. Baylor brings back a mob. Jeruna Edwards. I love that Baylor added Aaronette Von Lay, 14 points per game, 5.2 rebounds. One of the biggest transfers in the portal coming out of Colorado. That was major, man. She's definitely going to be the best post player that they've had in some time. Also, you still have Dariana Littlepage Buggs. I think she definitely could take that next step as a junior. Sarah Andrews, you know what I'm saying, at the point guard position. Jada Walker was a star in the NCAA tournament, one of the quickest guards in the nation. Excited for them. Iowa State is going to be sensational, man. Their 2 super sophomores coming in, Audie Crooks as well as Addie Brown, who were just sensational last season as freshmen. They will take that next step. I think Crooks is going to be a bona fide superstar. We saw her have that 40 ball in the NCAA tournament. Also, you bring back point guard Emily Ryan, who fought through some adversity this past season. They also bring in 2 transfers who can really score the basketball and shoot the rock, adding to that perimeter threat. Mackenzie Hare from Marquette, Sydney Harris out of TCU. Both shot over 40% from the 3 last year. I'm just excited, man. You also bring in Kelsey Jones as well as Ariana Jackson. There's going to be a lot of 3-pointers flying for Iowa. Another dark horse, man. Carol Lawson is building a juggernaut at Duke, low-key, man, in the ACC. Reagan Richardson broke out as a star, especially in the NCAA tournament, out there hooping. I love Taina Mayer at the point guard position. Ashlyn Jackson's one of my favorite guards in the nation, so I'll be excited to see her. Jeff Walsh has another great foundation out there in Louisville. First off, man, they're bringing in 2 NBA kids, man, and McKinley Randolph, and as well as they've got Azalea Arenas as well coming in. So 2 NBA bloodlines right there. Olivia Cochran had a sensational year last season. I think they will be I think her as well as Marissa Russell will be very, very crucial for this group. They decided to stay for their 5th season. Jada Curry is a hooper. Nyla Harris is going to be special possibly as well for that group next season. So, hey, man, if she takes that next step, we could see her make a really, really bigger impact. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited to see her development over the year. Rounding out the top 25, we got Oklahoma, Kansas State, Ohio State, West Virginia. Hey, shout out JJ Quinterly coming back, man, averaging over 19 a game. UNC at 17, man, it's different. It's interesting situation for them. Deja Kelly is out. She's going to Oregon. So they're really going to be dependent on Lexi Dornosky as well as Alyssa Udsby. They did some good things in the transfer portal as well, though. Grace Townsend will be a good addition. Averaged 13 points and 5 assists, so she'll take over that point guard spot. They also added Lainey Grant as well. And also, man, that front court still going to be led by Maria Gakdang. So, should be an exciting front line for them as well. Florida State, 18. Creighton, 19. Nebraska at 20. Alabama at 21. Utah, they're moving on without Alyssa Peely. We'll see what they got. They're at 22. Ole Miss did some things in the transfer portal as well, and I really, really like that they added KK Deans, man. I think that's going to be a big addition. Shout out Coach Yo. Illinois is at 24, and then Coach Kenny Brooks brought in Georgia Amore, as well as Tiani Key, as well as Clara Strack. So, hey, Virginia Tech, man, they lost some key pieces. Kentucky going to be looking to make a run in year 1, y'all. So, we'll see. The SEC is going to be loaded, but there's a lot of storylines here, and we'll continue to break down these teams more and more as the season approaches. More storylines and more coverage. But y'all let me know in the comments how y'all are feeling about everything. Holler at your boy. Comment on who we should be talking about more. Who are some of y'all's dark horses that could win this thing next year? Who is South Carolina's biggest competition? Holla at your boy. That's a wrap for us. For all the latest and the greatest, I am Brandon Blakeney, a.k.a. Brandon Lee TV. Until next time, hey, we out.